Hey guys, Al here, Vitalized Seed. Was driving around today, saw a bunch of cut cornfields, and quite a few of them look like this picture behind me. And it made me think I wanted to do a video on crop residue. Um, this is probably the number one reason, guys, that number one reason I came up with Vitalized Seed with Jared and the 1-2 system. But number two, the reason I wanted to bring that system to the public, because I had been using it for a while, is number one complaint guys have, whether it's in agriculture, gardening, or in the food plot industry, is they don't use cover crops, or they don't like to use cover crops, or they can't get away from tillage because of crop residue. So crop residue has a lot of benefits. Let's start right there. So the benefits, obviously, that you've taken the nutrients, you've mined the nutrients out of the soil, and now they're on top. In top, where the rhizosphere or the root zone, right? So that's the good news. It helps to control erosion. It helps to add soil structure and soil aggregation, at least while that crop's living. You're feeding the microbes, you're feeding fungal networks, etc., that are creating better soil aggregation, soil structure, etc. It's also going to help with, obviously, erosion, as well as reducing risk of compaction from rainfall, because again, that soil's covered, keeping the soil from evaporating water as fast. So there's a lot of good benefits, or moisture, I should say. There's a lot of good benefits from having that soil covered. But like in all good things, it's all about too much of a good thing isn't a good thing. So when you have cover, like in this picture, this is corn, and it's really, really thick, yes, that's holding a lot of nutrients in that particular corn, or any above ground, thick, heavy, carbon-based. So think of anything that takes a while to break down. Corn, rye grain, winter wheat, sorghum. Those are higher carbon, a tree, higher carbon to nitrogen based plant, or in the case of a tree. Those are going to take longer than to release those nutrients back into the system. So if you follow a high carbon corn with corn on top, and you're trying to only do a no-till, let's say this is a food plot industry. Guys like, man, I love corn on corn because that my deer love it and I can get a big buck every year that way. Okay, cool. But it's going to be really hard to do if you're trying to get away from tillage, because you're either going to have to till it, so you add air to the system. It's going to increase microbial activity. It's going to break down that biomass faster. It's then going to allow you to cycle nutrients faster and feed that crop without a huge addition of fertilizer. You're still going to have to fertilize it, most likely, if you want to hit that 180 plus bushel per acre corn, depending on your region of the country, rainfall, etc. But you're then tilling, so you're breaking up a lot of those benefits we started the video off with. The soil aggregation, better microbial system. You're going to have more heat into the system. You're going to have more oxidation occurring. If you look up chemical redox reactions, like things like iron getting bound up in the soil because of the introduction of oxygen. You're going to have an aerobic environment, which is going to consume a lot of that biomass faster. However, as the microbes produce, or reproduce, I should say, and they're consuming that, if they don't have a balance of continuation of higher carbon items, they can actually start to look at your own organic matter. So you can literally mine your organic matter out of your soil by not having things in balance. So I want to keep that in mind, guys. So if you're trying to go no-till and you're struggling, and maybe you want to use the Vitalized system, we've done it for you. But let's say you're trying to do it on your own, and or you're a farmer, or you're a gardener, and you're trying to understand that balance of cover crops. That's why I really continue to preach is, don't use a cover crop that's super high in carbon and nitrogen ratioed plants. Use something with balance. So sometimes guys will say, oh, I go out there and I put 200, 300, 400 pounds of rye down. Rye is super winter hardy. You're not going to get winter kill. You're going to have a really thick root mass, and you're going to have a really heavy thing of rye, mat of rye, that you're going to break down that next spring. Even if following with a legume, like say soybeans, into that rye, if it's too heavy or too thick, you're going to have nutrient tie-up, and those soybeans are going to be deprived unless you're putting things like in an ag situation right in furrow, and even following with a foliar spray and following all of your agronomic soil testing recommendations. That's costly to do that. And one of the things you can do to speed up this process is simply understand the balance of carbon and nitrogen ratios, and making sure that your cover crop, food plot mix, or garden cover crop mix is going to meet those ratios, so you can understand how to take that residue, break it down faster without having to use tillage, and make sure that you're ready for your next season. Get outside, enjoy the outdoors, guys, and vitalizeseed.com.